Welcome back. You're watching a Ver Global Business Report here on Rise News. Cybersecurity threats are intensifying worldwide as rapid digital transformation and artificial intelligence reshape the global risk landscape. Now, a new global cybersecurity outlook released by the World Economic Forum in collaboration with Accenture warns that cyber risks are accelerating in scale and sophistication. The report highlights the dual role of artificial intelligence as both a defensive tool and a weapon for cyber criminals, while noting that companies are increasingly struggling to balance innovation with stronger security controls. It also flags growing cyber inequality, with gaps widening between organizations and countries that can afford robust cyber defenses and those that cannot. Akshay Joshi, who is head Center for Cybersecurity, World Economic Forum, spoke to a Rise business correspondent, Rota Zuduri, at the World Economic Forum in Davos for more on this.
I mean, when we say cybersecurity is accelerating, it's because of the multiplicity of factors that are influencing cyberspace as of today. So you rightly mentioned, AI is supercharging both sides of the equation. Geopolitics has become a defining feature of cybersecurity as of now, with a large majority of organizations factoring geopolitical volatility into their strategies. If we look at supply chains and, as we are shifting our trading priorities, etc., we're bringing in new suppliers into our supply chains. Now, whetting the resilience of these players becomes a complex challenge in any case, right? So I think that's one big element as well. And the last one that concerns me the most is the impact on common individuals. The report reveals that 73% of all people that we surveyed have either personally or through someone in their network experienced cyber-enabled fraud. Now, that gives you the societal impact over there, and therefore there's a lot to be done. So, I mean, it's fair to assume cybersecurity is definitely accelerating, and look forward to unpacking with you a bit more.
Fantastic. So the whole, I love the dual role that AI is playing. Can you flesh that out for us in terms of the security and also the fraud side, I guess?
Right. Let's first look at the risk-based side of things, right? So we saw the enthusiasm as it pertains to AI technologies, and, we see the risks that are coming as a consequence. The report outlines that 87% of respondents believe that AI-based risks are the largest cyber risks facing us today. Now, there's good news as well when it comes to risk mitigation. Last year, when we did this report, just about 37% of all organizations were focusing on security testing as they were adopting AI into their organizational framework. Yeah. That number has gone up to 64%, right, which means that organizations are adopting it securely. 91% of organizations believe that AI can offer the greatest benefits to cybersecurity as well. So there is a positive that while we've seen some risks in the short term, there have been cyber criminal actors who are always quick to latch on to these technologies for malicious purposes. But at the same time, the technology poses great opportunities to safeguard society as well.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I'm not going to ask you to pick stocks or make any stock market recommendations, but there are cybersecurity AI players in the space, CrowdStrike and companies like that. Do you see growth there for those players in the sector, since they're, basically, do you see growth for whether they're public sector or private sector, private security, cybersecurity AI players in the space?
You know what, if you look at the markets overall, and if you look at the prolific growth that these organizations have had, pure play cybersecurity organizations have been growing dramatically, and the multiples give us that too. Now, it's important for us to think about the economic dimension of cybersecurity. And at one level, you have the possibility of value erosion through cyber incidents. But equally, as you think about, for example, developing markets, if you have resilient infrastructure, it enhances the investability. So the economics of cybersecurity in itself is a really growing topic. And as the World Economic Forum, we are delighted that we've also partnered with the Global Cybersecurity Forum in Saudi Arabia to build an affiliate center as part of our Fourth Industrial Revolution network to focus exclusively on this topic. My hope is that we'll be able to come up with some credible intelligence that can foster decision making.
Fantastic. I do want to ask you, I really would love that the report pointed this out. The cybersecurity inequality, and I think there's an overlap with AI inequality to where there's a widening gap between the companies that have the capital, the funds to be able to access these, have these tools, and then the companies that don't. So, what are your thoughts there? Is that gap going to be widening, and what does that mean in the future?
You know, this report was instrumental in putting the spotlight on cyber inequity a couple of years ago. And we believe that this is one of the most challenging issues facing cyberspace. Cyberspace by nature is borderless. So the same threats impact you irrespective of where you are. But at the same time, inequity can be applied through various lenses. So there is a geographical element. There are certain countries that are more developed and have the means to invest in it, but other countries, arguably more populous, with greater penetration on the mobile device front or on terms of desktops, but yet don't have, security is not accessible to them. Equally, there is inequity that exists between sectors. Sectors such as financial services typically tend to prioritize cybersecurity. Having said that, if you're looking at education, our children are going to schools, all the information resides over there, yet the necessary investments are not quite in order. So inequity is a very deep concept, and I think it needs attention. We need to figure out approaches collectively through public-private partnerships to see how can we democratize cybersecurity and make it more accessible.
And that question, I guess, overlaps with inequality across, the world, regardless of what you're speaking about. Final question for you, sir. What's your outlook? I guess it's the beginning of the year. How do you see cybersecurity growth in 2020? You already mentioned, of course, that it's accelerating, but going forward, is that acceleration going to continue on a particular trajectory?
You know, what is really interesting is if you look at new technologies, right, let's take the technology lens first. If we're looking at new technologies, a few years ago, we were talking about cryptocurrencies quite a bit. The narrative shifted to cloud when we went remote in the COVID times. Post that, we've been looking at AI. In the near future, I expect that we will move towards quantum. What is the thread over here? Each time there is the introduction of a new technology, we start to think about, obviously, what are the advantages this technology offers, but what are the risks? What are the risks to organizations? What are the risks to societies as a whole? So it's a really broad conversation, and cybersecurity is a common thread that exists. So the outlook, cybersecurity, I believe, is going to continue to remain relevant and important in the foreseeable future, not just when viewed through the technology lens that I elaborated upon, but as we think about how it's deeply intertwined with economics, with geopolitics, etc. So an issue that definitely needs importance, but at the same time, one that needs public-private cooperation.